I didn't really understand yesterday's topic.
Okay. Fine, then let me summarize. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else can summarize yesterday's session?
Yeah, I can do it. So yesterday
Yes.
yesterday was kind of an introductory topic into the chapter of Jeev Vivek, which is the next chapter after Prapanch Vivek. And Jeev Vivek, like the overall synopsis of Jeev Vivek is that Jeev Vivek explains the form of the individual souls or the Jivatma. This includes the creation, a role in this world, and the process of liberation. So the first thing we learned was the purpose of the creation of the individual beings. So we have learned in the previous chapter that Brahma has created this Jagat or universe for his Leela or play, and he has also created us Jivatma in order to increase or have like more fun with his Leela. So here we were given like the example of the actors on a stage. So without actors on a stage, like the stage becomes like useless and lifeless. And similar to this, without anyone in this Jagat to interact with, universe would become lifeless. So as a result, like Brahma created us Jivatma in order to increase variety and play. And we also learned how we are not the doers of actions, but instead, whatever actions we are performing, it is a result of like Bhagwan's wish and not ours. In addition to this, like since we are emerged out of Brahma, our past, future, and present is all controlled by Bhagwan, and even the result of liberation that we get is as a result of Bhagwan's wish. So similar to like how like Bhagwan creates, sustains, and destroys this universe, us Jivatma are also created by Brahma, controlled by Brahma, and we emerge with Brahma during Pralay. The next topic we learned was the emergence of the individual beings. So we have learned that as the universe is created out of the Sat attribute of Brahma, us Jivatma are also created out of the Sat and Chit attributes of Brahma. Chit here means awareness of existence. And the attribute of Chit allows us to interact with people, talk, walk, as well as perform many of our actions. And then we also like learned how we are like also learned how it says in the Upanishads that like I am a manifold into many forms out of one. So this essentially is saying that Brahma himself will manifest into the various different beings of this universe. So this can be understood with examples of fire and sparks. Similar to like sparks emanating from a fire, us Jivatmas have also emerged from Brahma. So the third topic we learned was where does the separation take place? So the question arises that if Brahma is all pervading infinite entity, then where do the Jivatma go as Brahma is everywhere? He is existing everywhere. So where do the Jivatma that are being separated from Brahma go? So this can be understood with the example of the oceans and the waves. Just like the waves are created, emerge, and go back to the ocean once they have crashed into the shore, in a similar way, us Jivatma are also emerging from Brahma. We are controlled by Brahma, and we will also re-emerge with Brahma during Pralay. We also learned about the attribute of Viruddharmashraya that Brahma possesses, and this is essentially saying that Brahma is like everything is like possible of Brahma with Brahma, and he is a result of like all contradictory attributes.
Fine. Now you can read the next topic.
Okay, G. Raja. Whatever is produced in sentient universe is the work of the Brahma, but the individual soul is the particle of the Brahma. Whatever is produced is called the act, karya, e.g., a tree. The thing from which something is produced is called the cause, karyan, e.g., the seed. According to its definition of act and cause, effect and cause, the universe is called the act of Brahma. But here it is a thing of consideration that though the individual being has manifested from Brahma, the being is not called the act of Brahma, but the particle. What is the reason? The universe and the being both have their manifestation from the Brahma. Yet after they are manifested, the objects of the universe such as the pot, the cloth, the house, the body, the river, the mountain, iron, the wood, etc., hold various names and forms. These different names and forms become their identity distinct from one another. It does not happen so with regard to the individual soul. Innumerable are the individual souls, but so far as names, forms, colors, shape, weight, etc. are concerned, they are not like the lifeless objects. Being similar to one another like the drops of water, it becomes difficult to know them distinct from one another. Body, organs, etc. attached to them can be different, but souls cannot be recognized distinctly. The identity of the individual souls is not easy as that of the insentient objects. For this very reason, the beings are stated to be the particles of Brahma, while the universe is called the act of Brahma.
Can you explain this?
So it's saying like
You're good.
So it's talking how the universe and the being, they both come from Brahma, and after they are created, they can have like different forms, like babies and teen, and different, like inside of us there are different things like the organs and our glasses and everything.
See, this differentiates between the emergence of universe out of Brahma and the emergence of individual souls out of Brahma. So this explains that whatever is produced as a result, it is known as the act, the karya. For example, the tree. And whatever is being produced is known as the cause or the karan, like the seed. So, according to the definition of act and cause, effect and cause, the universe is known as the effect of Brahma because it is created out of the Sat attribute of Brahma. But what about the Jivatma, the individual being? Individual being is manifested out of Brahma, but it is not known as the Karya of Brahma because Jivatma is having the attribute of Chaitanya, the consciousness. So the universe and the being both are manifested from Brahma only, but they are manifested differently. It means the objects of the universe, such as table and chair and cloth, mountain, etc., they have various names and forms, and they can be identified distinguishedly. That this is mountain, this is table, this is chair, etc. But this does not happen with the individual being. Innumerable souls are emerged out of Brahma, but each and every soul is equally the particle of consciousness of Brahma. Or just like the drop of the sea, the drop of water, for example, the whole ocean. Now, if, for example, if I am taking the water of an ocean in 8 glasses, can I differentiate it that all these are different? It is not possible. So same way, all the Jivatma are created out of the consciousness of Brahma, and therefore they are equally the particles of consciousness of Brahma. And therefore, the body and organs, etc., which we have in us, they are not the part of the soul, but they are differently attached to the soul. So the soul in its pure form, may it be my soul, may it be the soul of the cow or an elephant or an ant or a microorganism or whatever it may be, they are the particles of Brahma, while universe is known as the act or the effect of Brahma. Any question regarding this?
Yes, JJ. So, Ajay, the about the Karya and Karan, so it applies to all the living object or only the human? Like
Karya and Karan, the cause and the effect. This term is related to the universe, the insentient objects. And Ansh and Anshi, these are the terms which are used for Brahma and Jivatma.
and Jivatma means everyone living, every living thing, including the animals and the humans. Right?
Yes, everything. Whatever is living, each and every living organism, it is the Ansh of Brahma, the particle of Brahma. Because the attribute of consciousness which we find in each and every Jivatma, that is the particle of Brahma, created out of Brahma himself.
Ji Raja.
Anyone else? Okay, continue.
The individual being is atomic in form. In scriptures, the size or volume of the individual soul is considered as having the quantum of an atom. The Brahma is omnipresent, while the individual soul is automatic, subtle, scalar. The individual soul is sentient, and sentiency is the dharma of the individual soul. As the sentiency of the individual soul is experienced throughout the body, some people take the individual soul too as omnipresent as Brahma, but this is belief is faulty. A flower is only at one place in the garden, but one can feel its fragrance everywhere in the garden. But for this reason, the flower cannot be taken as omnipresent object. Similarly, the individual soul is only an atom, a particle. The body dwells at one place, yet the attribute of its sentiency is felt like the fragrance of the flower throughout the body. The individual soul and the insentient cannot be separated from the Brahma.
Continue. Yep.
At various places in scriptures, it has been stated that nothing else exists except the Brahma. Only the Brahma is the absolute reality. Whatever is there here, it is only the Brahma. Because of such scripturally statements, some people conclude that if nothing can exist, nothing can happen here except the Brahma. The insentient universe and the innumerable individual souls with the wide variety that has to be their illusions. Hence, Sri Sankaracharya believed that the word world is an illusion. In the chapter on the consideration of the universe, Prapanch Vivek, we have been provided the understanding that the insentient universe cannot be an illusion. This means that the universe is true and real. Similarly, the individual soul, too, being the particle of the Brahma, is invariably true. The question that arises is, what kind of relation exists among the insentient universe and the individual soul and Brahma? Should I continue?
Yes.
The insentient universe and the individual souls are two forms that only one reality has held. Concealing its chit attribute of being conscious, and Anand, unlimitedness attribute. When Brahma is manifold, only its Sat attribute of existing, those particles of the Brahma are termed as the insentient universe. Jud, non-living organisms or matter. Similarly, when the Brahma conceals its Anand attribute and manifests its Sat Chit attribute to uncountable particles, such Chit particles of Brahmamaya, designed as the individual souls or the sentient beings. Thus, we can see quite inventively say that when various ornaments like the ring, the garland, the bangle, the anklet, etc. are made from gold, the element of the ring or the bangle does not undergo any change. Similarly, when the Brahma has held by his own sweet will various forms of insentient things and sentient beings, it is naturally true that only the Brahman remains as one ultimate reality. To knowing this much now, we can understand that as ornaments made from gold are not different from gold, the universe and the beings too made out of Brahma, being an ingredient himself, are not different from the Brahma.
Can you summarize what you understood?
Okay, G. Raja. So it's just saying that like if there's a flower in a garden, the flower is in one place, but the smell of the flower or the fragrance spreads throughout the whole garden. Similarly, like us, we're present in one place, but like the fragrance of the flower, we can since we're the individual soul and we cannot be separated from Brahma, and so there's like this universe, and in it he conceals Chit and Anand, but when he manifolds it, only the Sat attribute of the particles of the Brahma are shown. And like also when we have like these bangles and ornaments and everything, they're made out of gold, right? And we cannot change that. We cannot change that form, and gold will always be gold.
Now this topic deals with the size of Jivatma, the individual being. As we understood that there is a source of consciousness in us, and our body doesn't have any sort of consciousness, because as a dead body we see that it becomes unconscious totally. And just like all the non-living objects, when a human body which is dead, we cannot have any sort of movement or the nature of consciousness in it. So this is very clear that there is a source of consciousness in our body, which is known as Jivatma or individual being. Now that source of consciousness is inside our body. Now what the question arises is that what will be the size of individual being or the Jivatma? Now this question raises, and there are many answers to this question from many other philosophers. For example, as given here, according to Shankaracharya, the size of the Jivatma is not a particle, it is just like Brahma, and even Jivatma is omnipresent, because Jivatma and Brahma, these are not two entities but they are one. So just being under the influence of avidya, we'll be learning this topic ahead. So just try to understand it for now, that avidya is a power of Brahma which makes the Jivatma miserable, which makes the Jivatma finite and bound with the universal objects. So according to Shankaracharya, the Jivatma is omnipresent. According to the philosophy of Jain religion, I think you people might be aware about this religion, that Jainism, according to Jainism, the size of the Jivatma is of the size of the body. It means the soul, the Jivatma of the ant will be of the size of the ant, and the soul of the elephant will be of the size of the elephant's body. Because we find that we have the feeling of consciousness from our head to the toe. Wherever we are being touched, we are aware of the touch, we are able to understand that touch, we are conscious about whatever is being happening in our body. So the consciousness is felt throughout our body, and therefore the philosophy of Jainism, they conclude that the size of the Jivatma is supposed to be of the size of the body, because we are able to feel the consciousness in our whole body. But according to Sri Mahaprabhuji, and what Ved explains is that the size of the Jivatma is not of the body, but the Jivatma is like a small particle. And for that, the Ved gives the example. Write down the term Aragra Matra, AAGRAMAATR, Aragra Matra.
Please say it
This
again.
means that, yes, Aragra Matra. The spelling will be AARAGR, Aragra, and Matra, MAATR. Yeah. So Aragra Matra means that the grain, for example, the rice, what will be the size of the one rice? The Jivatma is of the size of the tip of the grain of the rice. How smaller is the tip of the rice grain, it is the size of Jivatma, and therefore it is known as Anu, Anu Pariman. Pariman term means size. Write down the word Parimana. PARIMAAN. Parimana. Pariman means size. So the Jivatma is Anu Pariman. It means the Jivatma is of the size of an particle. How small is the particle? Same way, the smaller is the Jivatma. So this explains, according to Sri Mahaprabhuji and according to Ved, Jivatma is not omnipresent because it is finite, as Brahma hides the attribute of Anand from Jivatma. As we had understand in the first chapter, that Brahma is having three attributes, Sat, Chit and Anand. The Sat attribute will mean to exist, the Chit attribute means consciousness, and the Anand attribute means infinity, the unlimitedness. So when Brahma creates the universe, the non-living objects, Brahma hides the attribute of Chit and Anand from it, and therefore all the living objects, they just exist. They are not aware of their existence. They are not a conscious being. Secondly, when Brahma creates the Jivatma, the individual beings like all of us, Brahma hides the attribute of Anand from them and creates all the individual beings out of his Sat and Chit attribute. And therefore, we exist, we are aware about our existence, we are conscious beings, but we are finite, we are not infinite. So this is how the Jivatma or the individual being, they are the particle of Brahma created out of Brahma, and as they don't have the attribute of Anand in them, they are the finite individual beings. And the size of the Jivatma is of a particle. How smaller is the particle, how small is the drop in comparison to the ocean, same way the individual being which is in us, it is very small. It is of the size of the tip of the rice grain. Now, how does the attribute of consciousness spreads in our body? So Mahaprabhu ji gives the example that, for example, a flower is at one place in a garden, but the smell of the flower can be felt from even if we are quite away from that flower. So, just as the fragrance of the flower is felt in a larger area, but the flower is of a smaller size, same way, the attribute of consciousness, which is in the Jivatma, is felt in our whole body, but the Jivatma is of a smaller size. It is just, its size is very minute. So, this is the role of the Jivatma in our body. So, the Jivatma is in our body, and because of the consciousness, the attribute of consciousness in Jivatma, we are able to feel the consciousness in our whole body, and therefore, the Jivatma resides in our body, and therefore we are conscious regarding our existence, or we are Sachetan. It means we are having the attribute of consciousness in our body in the form of Jivatma. Let us conclude our session here today. If the subject feels difficult, try to listen to the recording more and ask the questions tomorrow. Whatever are the questions regarding today's topic, you people may ask tomorrow.